going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, another edition, however you want to call it, of Profit Picks. Here with my good friend, Mr. Rob Veno. And Rob, first and foremost, we always start every show by being transparent. I did have a good day yesterday. I talked about it on System Saturday already, but I'm going to mention that I've won six of the last seven college bets. And a lot of those have been sitting right here talking with you. We did that Elite Eight video. It was very successful. And I know you've been killing college all along. So how was yesterday? How's everything been treating you?
Yeah, well, the college, as you mentioned, Skee, season long, very, very well. I think last look this morning at Wager Talk up over 74 units of profit, so it's been great. Number one, actually, over there in college basketball totals. And I'm involved in a couple of things today with this Final Four. So hopefully we can bring your audience the good advice we brought last week, and everybody can cash here. Last night in particular was a 2-2 split. I did win, and I make the rounds here. I got a win out of the XFL last night. Pulled that one. Had a winner in the NBA, and did lose two NBA plays last night. Orlando was the winner. Boy, it's funny how I forget these losers, but there were two of them. It was a 2-2 split overall.
Okay. That's how you have to be in this business, though. Every day is a new day. And even if you win yourself money, you win people money the day before, you care, and everybody's going to care about what you're going to do today. So we get rid of yesterday and focus on how we can make some money today. We do have we're doing the Final Four, so two college basketball games on the slate for tonight. And I have slight opinions on them. I really waited to pull the trigger because I wanted to talk to you here, Rob. And let's start with FAU and San Diego State. This one opened up San Diego State -2. We see them now as a 2.5-point favorite. The total opened 132.5, and it's been bet down as low as 130.5. Consensus number is about 131. And I've watched both of these teams play a few games already now in the tournament. At least I've watched San Diego State play over the years and this year because they're in Mountain West. And here's my thought. For one, I don't really trust FAU offensively. Like, I know they're supposed to be they're the better offense in this game, but I don't really trust them. Like, other than the one guard, I think his number is one. I could be mistaken on that, but it's one guard I trust to play make. Everybody else, yeah, they can catch the ball, they can shoot it, but number two, I think he's a turnover machine. I just want him to be spotting up and shooting. So if I can only trust one player to create versus San Diego State defense that I think is, locked down and really athletic and long, I think FAU is going to have trouble here. FAU is 5-2, I believe, to the under during, in the postseason for them. And they're a team that's relying on threes to score, right? Going up against a San Diego State team who, so far in the tournament, they've held the four teams to about 17% from three. Really good three-point defense there. They like to play it at a slow pace as well. San Diego State, if I'm not mistaken, has played 12 straight unders. And just looking at through the tournament, I think they're allowing opponents 56.6 points per game. So that size, that length for them, the slow pace that they like to play at, maybe it's correlated. Maybe if FAU gets the win here, it's more of a higher scoring game. But teams have been struggling to hit 60. And I think I really want to trust San Diego State here. I just think the defense is going to travel. And I just like the personnel a little bit more. So lean San Diego State. And if I'm liking that way, I'm agreeing with the market and liking the under. Rob, you're more of an expert in college basketball than me. How do you feel about this game?
Well, I built the case a couple of times this week, Skee, for first half under. It was 60.5. You could catch 60s this morning. I think now the money's getting to it as we get closer to game time. I see a lot of 59.5s out there. But I give you some quick thoughts, both first half and full game. Where first half is concerned, let's talk about some exterior stuff. FAU starts 3 sophomores. They play in a gym that holds 2,900. And I know they've played in basketball arenas in this tournament. But here they play in a football stadium in front of 71,000. For the last 30 years that I've been in this business, we have talked about Final Four shooting backgrounds in these football stadiums. They're huge. They're different. But they have had a couple of shoot-arounds, each of these teams, I think. And last year, the venue didn't seem to affect the scoring all that much, Skee. I went back over the numbers, and maybe that trend is starting to take a turn. But it's always something to look out for. You've got a young team, FAU, in a situation that they've never really been in before as a program. And the same can be said for San Diego State. You know, the only person with any experience here in a Final Four is the head coach for San Diego State. So if you want to give a lean to San Diego State, let's give a lean towards Brian Dutcher, who was an assistant with the Fab Five, Jalen Rose, Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, all those guys back in the mid-90s. So he's been here and knows what it's like his first time as a head coach. Those are a couple exterior reasons why the game might get off to a slow start. But I'll go through some statistical stuff here that might make people think about playing first half over or under. San Diego State, they've played nothing but up-tempo teams in this tourney. College of Charleston, fast tempo, shoots threes. Furman, quick tempo, great offensive efficiency. Alabama, I don't have to tell anybody how fast Alabama plays and how they shoot threes. And then Creighton, another very efficient offense and likes to play up-tempo. Those 4 games, Skee, San Diego State's defense in the first half, they allowed 29, 25, 23, and 33. Those are all good numbers when you're trying to bet under 60 points. On the other hand, do they score against any of these teams? Well, the first 2 they did. College of Charleston and Furman are not, they're low major teams that don't play the type of defense that FAU will play. The last 2 teams San Diego State played, Alabama and Gonzaga, both were able to keep San Diego State quiet offensively, only 28 points in the first half. So I'm rattling off a lot of numbers here that are in the 20s, which is good if you want to play first half under 60. For FAU, I think, Skee, what I broke it down to real quick was, let me find an opponent that Florida Atlantic has played that's like San Diego State. And you don't have to look too far. Just look a couple rounds backwards against Tennessee. Tennessee and San Diego State are basically the same thing. Elite perimeter defense. Neither one can shoot the basketball. They both want to physical you and use their length and strength to wear you out. And in the first half of that game, that score was 27-22, only 49 points. Tennessee was getting the best of FAU at that point. Some quick numbers here. FAU in that game with only 22 first half points. They were 9 of 24 from the field, 3 of 14 from 3, and they only shot 2 free throws. They turned it around in the second half and wound up winning that game, pretty much going away against Tennessee. So they won the second half 40-28. That could be, if you're looking for blueprint or carbon copy, or you're looking for matchup style similarity, that would be the game you'd point to for FAU. You would say, hey, listen, they got to us first half, but we came back and beat that team. And Tennessee was top 10 all season long until they lost their point guard. So maybe they're even a little better than San Diego State. Florida Atlantic's had a lot of experience playing slow teams like San Diego State inside that conference. In fact, they played 2 teams that just won tournaments, right? The CBI was won by Charlotte. Charlotte's number 362 in pace. North Texas just won the NIT. That's in Conference USA with Florida Atlantic. They are 363 in pace. FAU played those teams inside their league 4 times this year. They won all 4 games straight up. So they don't have a problem adjusting to slow pace. I think you can build, I've heard people build really, really sound cases for both sides here. So it's hard. I think when you can make that type of argument from each side of the fence, maybe it's best to just go grab plus money somewhere. FAU is plus $1.25 to win. They're only a 2.5 point dog, so they have a shot here. I just outlined some reasons why. I think first half under is the best bet. Again, it's down to 59.5 right now. 131.5 could be a really good bet too, because you know what, San Diego State, you just said 12 straight unders. And if you go through those finals, I haven't. I should have. But I believe a bunch of those are under 131.5. A lot of those 12 didn't reach 131.5. So a full game, I wouldn't be mad at anybody for playing that either. I like first half under. I like taking a shot with FAU on the money line. If this comes down to last second something, which it has for FAU a couple of times in this tournament, especially that Memphis game to lead it off.
A lot of good stuff by you there. And I'm looking at the last 5 games. That's all I have in front of me. And I only see the Alabama game getting over that 131.5 number. So maybe you could go full game here too. But, in a game like this with a really short spread, it's supposed to be competitive. And if it goes down to the wire, we could see a situation where they start to foul, free throw, free throw, free throw. And we don't want to be a part of that if we're under betters. So that's another reason to go ahead and bet the first half under. Don Play says he sees the under at 60. So is that good? I would think so.
Yeah.
I looked at. I agree with your assessment too. I had it written on my notes. I didn't say it initially, but it should be similar to that FAU versus Tennessee game. In that game, I think they scored 49 first half points, and I'm pretty sure the full game ended at like 117. So, not mad at anybody wanting to go the full game under. Myself, I was leaning more towards San Diego State, so I really want to try to bet some kind of an under here. And I think first half is the best way to do it, Rob. So let me just line shop a little bit here. Best number. Sorry, bear with me. I went to spreads on accident. So best first half number I can get for the total. I see a 60 at DraftKings. But majority 59.5. 59.5. I feel comfortable with that, but I am going to do my best to go get that 60 at DraftKings.
Yeah. I feel like they're the only ones that are hanging that right now. Is the only 60 out there that I saw prior to coming on with you. And as we get closer to tip-off, Skee, the $50, $100 money starts coming. I have to believe they're going to follow suit with under in some way, shape, or form. So if you like it, get it now. It was my inclination that was the best way to play this. Especially if the first 3 or 4 minutes are a feeling out process in this game. And to your point about we don't want to get caught up in that second half foul, free throw, foul, make it 3 free throws, which is how the Alabama game got to 135, right? I think that was an 80-plus point second half because Alabama was just desperate to, not get eliminated. We don't get that in the first half, generally speaking. So, and San Diego State, for what it's worth, this is kind of weird. They only went to the free throw line 6 times total in that Creighton game last week. Creighton, they shot miserably from three-point land, and I think that teams are only shooting 17% from 3 against San Diego State in this entire tournament, and they've allowed the least amount of field goals in the entire tournament, less than Connecticut. I think San Diego State has only given up 78 field goals total, and Connecticut's like 81. So, defense kind of rules in this instance, I think, especially first half.
I like it, Rob. It makes total sense to me. And I just checked that Alabama game. They made it to 51 points in the first half. It was that second half, just like you mentioned, where they exploded for 80 plus. So I'm with you here. I'll make that bet official. I'll be on the under first half at 60. And I guess we already talked about it. Gun to your head, if you had to pick in a game where it's hard to really choose, you'd rather go with the plus money in FAU, correct?
Yeah, I would try that way, Skee. And it's just like I say, when you and I have done a good job of lining out positives for both sides of this game. And in my mind, when I can do that, I'd rather be on plus price somehow, some way. So FAU plus $1.25 if guys are willing on money line. I gave it a small shot myself.
All right, fair enough. Maybe you can help me with this question. I really didn't even look at the numbers, and you're more knowledgeable about college in general. But they're asking, is it better to just take a FAU future and Miami future with the chance to hedge?
You probably get good. I mean, I don't know what the Final Four prices are. We know UConn's like $1.15 favorite, right? So if UConn makes it to Monday, Skee, real quick math. I don't know what the money line price on like a 6-point favorite would be, but I'm going to guess that if FAU were playing UConn, they'd probably be a little more, 6.5 or 7. That's a tough hedge at that point in time. If you're betting FAU future to win the whole thing, you might have to just ride that thing out. Miami's a different story. Well, yeah, Miami's a different story because if you bet their future and they win, they're likely to be the favorite on Monday night, which means you can come back with the dog at plus price and have both teams at plus price and be in good shape. So if you're taking the Miami future, my answer would be yes, play it. And if they win today, you're in good shape on Monday night to get 2+ prices. The FAU side's a little different, though, because if they play Connecticut, they're going to be a pretty big dog.
That makes sense to me. Um, yeah, if Miami knocks out that big favorite in UConn right now, you're going to be getting a much better price than plus 450. So if you like Miami tonight, maybe sprinkle a little bit on that future, and maybe not so much for the FAU side. You could probably just take it game by game, is what it sounds like there. So
Right.
good answer to the question. Appreciate you on that, Rob. Let me see any more. And he's saying thank you, helped him out there. All right, let's move over to the next game for the night, and we kind of already just mentioned it. Let me get the banner up too. I got to make sure I stay on the banners here, Rob. I did a good job so far.
Yes, you
Miami
did.
versus UConn. This game opened up, and I'm still on first half here, but I'm pretty sure it opened 5.5 for UConn, and it has not moved. All of the Everybody's betting UConn. I mean, I think it's been like this before too, but I think the number has been moving in UConn's favor the previous games. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know everybody's betting UConn today, and number is sitting right at 5.5. Total open 148.5, and it's increased to 149.5, or highest at 149.5. There's some 149 still out there, and I agree with the market on the total. I mean, this UConn team is just um, I'm not as familiar, but they look like juggernauts as far as like they're pretty polished at all positions. They got size, they got guards. Um, they've been blowing everybody out that's been in front of them. So I would trust them to score on their portion. They have, however, held their last five opponents under 37% from the field. But I still think Miami, and those two guards, Pat, um, and I forget the other one's name right now. Starts with a W.
Wong, right? Isaiah
Wong,
Wong.
Pack and Wong. Yeah, those guys, they're impressive, and there's some dogs over there in Miami. I've seen them come from down 20 and still win the game. I've seen them score on the best defense in the nation, which was Houston, in my opinion. So to think that UConn will be able to hold them here would be a little bit foolish, I think. So if I trust Miami to score, and UConn has shown they can score on everybody as well, I think the over is a pretty decent play here. Um, and other than that, if I look at the side here, Rob, Miami is 9-2 as a dog or pick, and I just think Miami just continues to be a little bit disrespected here. I really trust the guard tandem that they have versus anybody, and at least I know they've been through some kind of like controversy, or like they've had to deal with something already. At UConn, it's just kind of been cakewalking. I know they've covered. You could look at it the other way. They covered 9 out of their last 10 games. Why would they not cover here today? But I just think if Miami comes out here and punch them in the mouth, something that hasn't happened yet, how is UConn going to respond? I know how Miami's going to respond if they get punched in the mouth. So I lean Miami plus the 5.5, and also lean towards the over. How do you feel about this game, Vino?
Yeah, it's interesting, Skee, where UConn is concerned. I'll go to your last point first here about how would they respond if they're in a game. And it's funny with them in this tournament, it's not like these blowouts have happened as soon as they tip the ball off. 3 of their 4 halftimes have been close. They're losing to Iona at halftime 39-37. Second half win by 26. They're playing St. Mary's, only winning by 1, 31-30 at halftime. Again, 2 extremely close games in a row. But second half, UConn by 14. So now they've won 2 games by a combined 40 points in the second half. They play Arkansas. There's like 7 minutes left in the first half. It's 20-17. And then the run happened, and Arkansas was done, finished business there. And of course, against Gonzaga last week, halftime was no massacre. It was 39-32. The massacre happened in the second half, 43-22. They win that by 21. So I would say that when they get to the locker room, Danny Hurley's doing the right thing, whatever it is, because when you're winning second halves by 16, 21, 24, not only are you the superior team, but you're making pretty good adjustments at that point. So maybe Miami hangs. Let's give credit to their head coach. We do it all the time, right? Jim Larinaga. And where Jim Larinaga is concerned, you follow the NCAA tournament back about a dozen, 12, 13 years, whatever it was when he was the head coach of George Mason. Guess what? He knocked Connecticut out of the tournament at this stage, or at the Elite Eight stage, I think it was. So UConn fans, obviously, you don't want to see Jim Larinaga repeat that. Let's go through some stuff. You talked about Pack and Wong. You could add to that list Jordan Miller on Miami, who was only the second player ever, I think I saw, in NCAA tournament history from Sweet 16 on to make every single shot he took in a game. Last week against Texas, Jordan Miller didn't miss from the field, didn't miss from the free throw line. So where Miami's concerned, 3 games ago, we were talking about, wow, what a great game Isaiah Wong had. Then the next game, we're like, wow, what a great game Nigel Pack had. Now we're like, wow, what a great game Jordan Miller had. To your point about so many guys that they have, and you throw in the center, Norchid Omir, and they've got a lot of skilled players. They're not deep, but their starting unit is tough. And Skee, as somebody who had the the Miami Texas over 149 last week, which hit pretty easy. Texas thought they had the answer, right? Texas figured if we run these guys off the 3-point line, they can't beat us. And they did. They ran them off the 3-point line and built a 13-point lead in the second half. And Miami just decided, you know what? We got all these one-on-one individual creators, and we're just going to take these guys one-on-one. And they showed you that they'll score by either making the basket or getting to the free throw line. I think they made 28 free throws in that game. It was just to the line, because nobody could defend these guys. So they bring a lot of offensive talent to the party. UConn's got more defensive options than Texas. As good as Texas is, UConn has 2 of everything, and especially at center, where when Omir went to the bench with 4 fouls last week for Miami, you would think that Texas could capitalize, but they didn't have one of their big men, their starter, Dylan DeSue. He was injured for that game. And so when their big guy went to the bench, Christian Bishop as well, that's when Miami put on that run. It was kind of smalls on smalls, and Miami was better at that point. For UConn, if Sanogo does get in trouble, foul-wise, Donovan Clingan comes in at 7'2", 250, whatever he is, and runs the floor like a guard. They're not, they're deep enough. I think the reason why these numbers are holding steady, side and total, 5.5 and 149, because we got word yesterday that Jordan Hawkins, the starting shooting guard for UConn, has the flu. Didn't participate in shoot around. And I think people are just waiting to see whether he'll go or not. I can't tell you if it's a illness that he's had for 3 days or just came upon him yesterday. Not sure. Don't have any insight into that. I would think he's going to play if he can. If he doesn't, Calcaterra will come in and shoot their threes. I looked at it this way. I'm totally with you. I like over. I'll give you guys some numbers why you might want to play first half over. It's 69.5, Skee, right? It looks, the other game is 60, and this one is 69.5. It looks a little bit small, but that's what it was last week against Texas as well for Miami. I'm just going to go back to last week's games because Miami playing Texas and Connecticut playing Gonzaga, they're both fast-paced games, right? Like this one's going to be fast-paced games. So I can use these as similar matchups. First half last week against Texas, the Miami game had 56 field goal attempts. All in all, I'll cut this real short. All in all, there was a chance for 138 points in the first half between Miami and Texas. They got to 82, well over the 69. In the Connecticut-Gonzaga game, even more. The first half, they had a shot at 175 points. That's how many shots and free throws were taken in that first half. If you get a chance at anywhere between 138 and 175, which I feel you will, I mean, it's hard to make a logical argument why you wouldn't. If you get that many opportunities and you have to get the 70 to cash, I feel like that's pretty easy. 175 potential points in one half is a lot of points. So UConn Miami over 69.5 first half to me looked good. Full game total looked good. I think Connecticut's the right side because, and again, I think what you pointed out, and I said this to, I think Joe Ranieri on college basketball today for Wager Talk. If you're betting the ATS numbers, then you're betting Miami here because I think you quoted a 9-2 number, but you can list a lot of really, really good Miami Hurricane underdog numbers over the last 2 years. They have been like money in the bank, very undervalued underdog. I don't know that Connecticut will underrate them here. I'm sure they won't. But my feeling is that Miami can't survive foul trouble in this game if they get it. They have to stay on the floor. UConn can. And I think that in the end, UConn's probably too much defensively for Miami, which has been a poor defensive team all season long. So if you're going to ask me side, I'll lean UConn. If you're going to ask me total, again, I would say over first half or full game. Couldn't argue either. I think 69.5 is a very short first half price. Jordan Hawkins or no Jordan Hawkins. And if you're looking even deeper into team totals, I saw Miami actually was minus price to go over their number of 74.5, and UConn was, I think, 70, or it was 72.5 and 77.5. Both of these teams might get over their team total in this game, especially if we get a free throw fest at the end. So that's where I am, Skee. I think my best is first half over. I think my second best would be full game over, and then I'd take a lean towards UConn.
All right, so a lot of stuff I gotta unpack here, Rob. A lot of more comments I gotta get to too. But I want to ask you first the adjustments that you see UConn making, as far as after halftime. Is it more of them figuring out how to score, or them figuring out how to stop the opposing team?
I think it's an intangible, Skee. To me, it looks like aggressiveness. When teams come out, you can always tell when they're more aggressive defensively. They get up on you 3/4 court, stuff like that. And a part of that is what you're saying. The coach sees that, hey, we can attack this team this way. We've seen it all first half. So it's kind of a combination of both, but they look really, really aggressive in the second half. And there's always been a long-standing motto for head coaches in college basketball, especially in big games, where they tell you that the first 4 minutes of the second half are the most important time of any game. And it looks to me like Danny Hurley's team treats these first 4 minutes of the second half with an incredible focus. And while it's in my head, I want to say that same thing about Florida Atlantic and San Diego State, because when you go through their numbers in this tournament, you'll find that in the second half, those two teams have been dominant as well and come back from some deficits. So I think that the head coaching has a lot to do with it, but I think it's a little bit of aggressiveness and a little bit of coaching adjustments as well.
Fair enough. All right, before I get back to the game, I did want to shout out Jay. We answered his questions earlier, and he's showing a little bit of support for the channel with this super sticker, $5. I appreciate you. I listen to everything you guys say. When you guys tell me what you guys want on the show, or somebody asked me, why don't I have super stickers on here so they can show support? I put them on there just for that. Somebody asked me, why don't I have timestamps? I put the timestamps on there. So I'm always looking to try to make the show better for you guys, and I appreciate the support for the channel. Benjamin, he says, do you have anything on NBA? I did a System Saturday show this morning. There's only 2 NBA games. I talked about both of them. So if you want specifically NBA, you can go right over to the System Saturday show on this channel. Let me get to a few more comments here. I know our guy UCapper did send a little bit of algebra, which is the SDQL, to help us out with this game here, Rob. So I'm going to pull that up. But before, I just don't want to lose all these comments that everybody was putting in here. I just was trying to get it all together. Klingen. Justin says Klingen ain't soft. Otto was saying he's soft. I guess that's the debate in the chat. Eskimo says he loves the show, Skee. Hope it grows immensely. Appreciate you. Don Play asking the same question. If you want NBA, I talked about both games over on System Saturday. He said, which one do I like more? I played them equally. And I told you the reasons why on the channel. Vaughn says, any player props y'all like? Are they doing player props for college basketball here, Rob?
They are. And I have to admit, Skee, I went through them this morning. But for me, all 4 of these teams are so well balanced that I couldn't pick one guy that I thought had a matchup that would really force me to play a prop. So I didn't play any. I did look at them, but the point distribution, we talked about how Miami's got so many players that are capable. We know Connecticut's got players that are capable. We know San Diego State just distributes evenly for the most part, unless Bradley would get hot. And for Florida Atlantic, I mean, other than Janelle Davis, who you mentioned as number one, that's number one on that team, the guy you trust, they distribute evenly as well. And it's hard to play props when you have guys that, you know, on any given night can put up the numbers. So I didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't look too much into the individual player props for college basketball. Let's get to the algebra that UCAPR has provided. I'm pretty sure I pulled it up here. I'm doing it a little different than I normally do, but I think I should have it here. I'd like to record this. I think I have to click yes. Oh man, this is all right there. I usually use my other computer later. All right, I'm gonna try this one more time. Let's see if I can get it up here. Share, because it's good information. All right, can we see this here on the screen?
There we go.
We got it up here. All right, so we're looking at the tournament round equals 5, which would be the final 4. Total average, I'm not sure what DPA is. UCAPR is a SDQL bachelor. He can probably help us out in the comments. But it says 13-4-1 against the spread, 12-5-1 towards the over, and it's in favor of Miami and in favor of San Diego State. So that's what I see here on the SDQL. Let me go here to the comments. I think he said something in there. He said, tells me their defenses have been underperforming while opponents' defense overperforming through the season. Okay. What do you think about that comment there, Rob?
Well, I'm trying to figure what he means by underperforming, because if underperforming were to count the entire, what's that?
You can hear me all right, right?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear me back?
Says, I got you. He says, it tells me their defenses have been underperforming while opponents' defenses have been overperforming through the season. Let me just click back on this tab here. So 13-4-1 against the spread, 12-5 to the over. And it looks like they're averaging, the average total is 138.5. A little bit lower than what we're looking at for the Miami game, but I appreciate this look. And those are the two sides that I was looking to back. Let me see what else he says here. Turnovers might be the key in this Miami UConn game. Miami can create turnovers. UConn at times turn the ball over in clusters. All right, good stuff there from UCAPR. Appreciate you sending that in. Well, that's the size that I like anyway, so that gives me a little bit more of a push. Let me see a couple more comments. Jay said he used to tune into the Spotify space. Glad I set it up on YouTube. I appreciate you supporting. You know, it's been a while since I've done Spotify, so appreciate you. Rick White says thoughts on Miami team total over. You asked about that, or he said it sounds like I like it, and I would agree. If I'm liking the Miami side, I'm liking the over. You put those two together, and Miami team total over is what you get. It sounds like you like the UConn side, though, Rob. So you prefer full game over, correct?
Yeah, and again, that Miami team total is 72.5. Skee. You're asking them to get to 73. I feel like both of these teams might get over their team total. In order for it to get over and have it be a competitive game, they probably do have to both get over, right? One team's listed at 77.5. The other one listed at 72.5. So a 78 to 73 game gives you 151. It's an over. It's competitive. Both teams' team totals get over. My only thing with the total in this game, or my biggest thing, I should say, and the reason why I'm there is because of the amount of opportunities you get from these two. They just, again, it's like when I talked with you the other day about Trey Murphy going over 2.5 threes, and it really doesn't matter if he's only going to shoot 30% from three-point land, because he's going to take 10. And we like to go to logic school sometimes, and, 3 out of 10 cashes your ticket. So I think in those terms here, I think the volume of available points going to be there because the pace will be there. Ronald talked about some potential turnovers. Miami capitalized in that way against Texas. Texas became a little bit unglued in that one. But Miami hasn't shown any defensive ability all season long, even through ACC play. So you would figure Connecticut can get theirs, especially with what you said in the beginning. Well polished. They beat you inside, they beat you outside, they beat you intermediate, they'll beat you in transition. So, yeah, I'm not going to argue anybody who wants Miami over 72.5. They're that type of team. They have to play that way to win a game.
All right, so Rob can endorse that as well. And you kept helping us out in the comments. So DPA is delta points allowed. And he says that's the difference between what the books expect them to allow versus what they actually allow. So let me go back to this query here. And so it'll be Final Four, total average, delta points allowed is greater than opponent's average delta points allowed. And again, he has it right there on the screen. Delta points allowed is the difference between what books expect them to allow versus what they did allow. So it sounds like back in the over quite a bit there, and I appreciate that. So in conclusion here, Rob, I think it's Miami and UConn game. What I got from it was we like the over. We trust Miami to score. We trust UConn to score. It doesn't sound like, if the shooting guard misses, it's not going to be that big of a deal that we should be scared, right?
Yeah, he's a big deal. There's no question. But the drop-off isn't like it would be for other teams, right? Like if Isaiah Wong were out for Miami, that's a really big deal. Jordan Hawkins out, Calcaterra in. He's a 4-year guy. Just for folks who don't know, he's a 4-year guy who transferred, I think, from A&M, Texas A&M. Always been a shooter, always been a three-point shooter. So it's not bringing somebody in raw. I think that's the difference here. Drop-off, yes. Big deal. Not especially.
All right, fair enough. So I like the over in this game then, the 149. And then just to hear you talk about, how much the difference is in the second half of these UConn games. And I see my guy Josh in the comments earlier, maybe we get in and get out here if we like this Miami side. He said Miami first half +3 before those adjustments come. Would you agree with that thought process?
Well, the tournament numbers tell you that for sure. I'll say this. I trust Jim Larinaga, the head coach of Miami. He didn't waiver Skee when they were down 13 in the second half to Texas the other day. The head coach just went to a different game plan. He said, all right, we're going to give up on threes and we're going to straight line drive. And, when the big guy went out for Texas, they took advantage. So both coaches are really good here. At 5.5, here's how I feel. If UConn's ahead in this game, I don't know, 74-68 with 55 seconds left or something, they're going to make their free throws for the most part. And Miami's going to have to score every time down. I think UConn can stretch margin if it's close. They may build margin already. I'm not sure, but I think they can make it there by more than 5.5. However, when you hear me talk, Skee, I always talk in matchups. That's how I talk. Matchup this, matchup that. I never talk in Miami's got great point spread numbers as an underdog. And for those who follow that line of thinking, you have no business listening to me. You should be on Miami because it's just two different schools of handicap. And for somebody like me, I've got to take that Miami underdog stuff into consideration because they've been that good against good teams. I'll say this in conclusion to that the ACC was poor this year. We don't see Duke here. We don't see North Carolina here. We don't see anybody from the ACC here. And Miami might have taken advantage of that too.
I have one more question here for you, Rob. So you mentioned you like the first half over as well in this game. I see the first half number. The full game, it opened 148.5. It's up to as high as 149.5. Whereas the first half, a little bit opposite. It opened at 70, and we see it drop to 69.5. So is this dropping just because it's a high first half number, or what do you think would be the reason for the first half dropping? And could you talk me into playing the first half over instead of the full game over?
I don't know what the cause for that is, Skee, because the same thing happened in Miami and Texas last week. The first half number dropped They bet under, and the game landed 82. It went way over. But yet they had bet over in the full game. So there could be a lot of reasons for that. And again, I think that for those who believe that teams might be a little nervous in a Final Four setting in front of 71,000, for those who think that stadium, this is NRG Stadium where the Texans play, they think that the backgrounds might cause difficulty. That's, something since I've been in the business for 30 years, we've talked about every time a Final Four comes around, stadium background, stadium background. It's why I went back and checked the numbers from last year's Final Four. And last year's Final Four were some really high scoring games, and shooting background didn't necessarily affect first half totals in this area, 69.5. So I get a lot of people have different ways to think, Skee. I can't tell you exactly why that first half dropped, other than maybe people believe it's going to be a feeling out process, little nervousness. I feel that way for FAU, San Diego State. They're more defensive predicated as teams, and it may be shooting venue. Other than that, I can't tell you why one goes down and one goes up.
All right. Well, I think I'm more comfortable betting the full game, just because I know if it is close, we get those extra fouls, and I want the entirety of the game further than overplay. We talked about why we would want to play the first half under for that same reason in the San Diego State game. So I'm going to recap my plays at the end. Rob, I think we did a good amount on this game. It's about time for anything that you would like to promo and maybe a best bet out of the two games for you.
All right. Well, let's go to promo first. Wagertalk.com, the place where you can find all my work each and every day. You can, if you go to wagertalk.com and you just drop in your email address, you'll get free access instantly to all the video content, all the shows, all the analysis of every game, every sport that's provided by Wager Talk each and every day, Monday through Saturday. I actually got done with the and Ronald UCapper as well. I was on with him on the Saturday show, Wager Talk Last Call this morning. So they're adding shows over there to help everybody hear as much as they can, learn as much as they can. You can get that all for free, wagertalk.com, by dropping your email address. If you're interested in selection packages, I'm actually loaded for bear today, Skee, whether it be XFL, NBA, NCAA basketball. I think I've got 4 best bets up there right now, up and available. So you want to go over and check those out. You can always get my plays, the packages, at wagertalk.com for purposes of the show. I'll leave everybody with a couple of things here. Let's go ahead back and cover what we covered. San Diego State, to me, San Diego State, Florida Atlantic under first half. If you can get the 60, as Skee said, DraftKings is still keeping up there. If you have a DraftKings account, take the 60, but I think that first half stays under. Talked about the reasons. And where UConn and Miami are concerned, I do like this first half over 69.5. Talked about how many opportunities for points that these two teams got in their respective games last week against similar style clubs. If this game has an opportunity for 175 points in the first half, like UConn Gonzaga had last week, then it's getting over 69.5. So I like a lot of things in that game as well, but I'll leave you with that one. First half over 69.5.
All right, good stuff there. You're going to make me double think about taking that first half versus the full game again here, Rob. So for my best bet for the show, I'm only going to go with the one that I've placed, and I literally just placed it during the show. I'll go with the FAU and San Diego State under 60 in the first half, but I'm also going to let you guys know just where I stand on everything. You can go back and hear the reasons why throughout the video, and also if you want to, get every selection that I make, it's at wagertalk.com, just like Rob mentioned. But the ways that I'm looking here, decisions that I'm going to make other than that first half under are, I like the San Diego State side. I feel a little bit nervous at the -2.5 number. So that's why I don't know if I want to pay to play the money line price, but I'll make that decision. And then the Miami game, I'm pretty close to Miami first half +3. And also like in the over in that game, just deciding whether I want to take the full game or the first half. So expect points in the second game, not so many points in the first game. And I want that dog in the first half for Miami. A lot of different ways to play them. We've had the chat come in and give a lot of their opinions. Let's hit the chat one more time before we go out. They say thanks to both of us. A lot of great info in here. Same can be said from Justin C. I appreciate you guys for that. They said Skino. Skee and Veno, I guess. Skino. Vaughn reminding everybody to hit the like button if you appreciate or if we're helping you guys out with your wagers. It helps us out to hit the like button. Aaron as well, reminding everybody to hit the like button. I appreciate you guys. So if you guys want NBA action, I'll remind you that I did do an NBA video system Saturday here on the same channel. We give Rob a break on Sundays, and it gets busy. Rob's a busy man. They pull him all kind of different directions. So we'll see if we get him back here, usually on Wednesdays, and usually a couple more times throughout the rest of the week. Myself, I'll be right back here with the system Sunday. I will do that again tomorrow, and then as always, back Monday. Really back every single day, Monday through Sunday. So appreciate you guys. Good luck on all of your action. And we'll catch you guys again later.